Welcome everybody to 1 hour of miniature goodness, and today is my first day back streaming in quite a while. It's been an absolutely crazy few weeks, so we shall crack on with the painting. First of all, I'll say hello to everybody in chat. I see the Goblin Emperor, my dad's in chat. We have Corey's in chat, Gareth the Star Wars Man's in chat, Corey's in chat, yes, and we got B&L Minis. Thank you for the lovely comments, B&L Minis. Rod's in chat. Nafe's in chat, and and of course Tal just made it by the skin of his teeth is in chat as well. Thank you everybody for the subs. Now I will say before I start, my streams, I've had to cut my streams down. I shall be doing a stream only once a week for the foreseeable future. It's only until things in my personal life get sorted out, so please bear with me. At least I'll be able to do once a week. But I have to close the Monday stream just for the time being. I don't know how long it could be, but until then, we're just going to stick with the Thursdays just to keep going. Okay, so today we are painting the Kobolds Quick Paint Kit. This is a quick paint kit by Reaper Miniatures. It comes with 8 beautiful colours. We've got Kobold Scale. We have Burnt Orange, Solid Black, Dark Elf Shadow, Olive Skin, I nearly said Horny Steel. Honed Steel, Highland Moss, and Creamy Ivory. You also get 6 beautiful kobolds. These are sculpted in the Bones USA plastic. Thank you for subscribing. These are in the Bones USA plastic, and they are sculpted by, of course, the Bobby Jackson. Bobby Jackson has actually moved up to my first place, #1 sculptor in the world at the minute. So Bobby Jackson, if you are watching this, you are my #1. You are my #1. So yes, Bobby Jackson is my favourite. I'm going to have to get closer with this. A little C4 scale. As you can see, kobolds are absolutely tiny, 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 tiny. So let me see if I can get some focus for you all. It's going to be a difficult one today. 1 second, bear with me. You know I'm no good at all this tech stuff. There we go. Let's see if we can paint this close today. So I'll just quickly go through the minis. I've already given them all a coat of solid black. So Rod, if you're trying to keep up, quick, get the black on. So we got a little archer kobold there. We got one with a slingshot, one with a club, one with a spear. Spear and shield, and a little crossbow one at the end there. So let's move this in a bit closer. Let me get some paint on the palette. We're going to start with the flesh first. You also get a Reaper Pro brush in the set, a #1 brush. Now the #1 brushes and the #2 brushes from Reaper are my go-to brushes at the moment. I use these all the time for my main painting. Of course, when we get down to doing the details like the eyes, we could have a few issues, but as long as we've got a good point, we should be okay. Okay, so I will be starting with the skin tones first, as that's most of the body mass on these little miniatures. We are going for the Kobold Scale and Burnt Orange. But before we move on, let me just tell you one more thing. Rhonda Bender, as you all know, is my favourite artist from Reaper. She has got a beautiful instructions guide inside this set telling you how to paint your kobolds. But I'm not painting it that way because I like to be different. But if you buy that set, I would follow the guide in there for your best results, because Rhonda Bender is absolutely amazing and she knows what she's talking about. I, on the other hand, I'm just going for the get that paint on effect. Now we shall be using the Kobold Scale and the Burnt Orange for the skin tones today. Thank you for the cheers. I will give a huge shout out to all my Goblin patrons. The support you've given me and Claire the last few weeks has just been absolutely incredible. You've saved me from having to sell my Star Wars collection. As most of you know, Gareth the Star Wars man in chat, he painted half my Star Wars collection, plus Gorilla of the Brush, plus we got Tim. They've all painted Star Wars miniatures for myself, but I've been trying to get money together to pay for the vet fees, and of course all my goblins actually have helped me cover the costs. So I do not have to sell one of my beloved painted Star Wars miniatures. So you do not understand how happy that makes me feel. So yeah, I am absolutely over the moon with that. Okay, let's see. Okay, so we have the solid black on the miniature first. We're going to use that solid black as our shade. But what we're going to do is just get on the actual kobold scale all over the flesh areas now, just nice and quickly. And I'm just going to lightly go over the whole of the miniature, keeping a little bit of the black going. I hope you can see all this. It's such a tiny mini, you can't see anything. What you doing, Mikey? What you doing? We can't see anything. Okay, let me see if we can get a bit closer. Oh my goodness, these are tiny, aren't they? Oh dearie. There we go. So all I'm doing is getting the old kobold scale over the whole of the miniature, and we can just fly through these. Now what I'm doing is I'm going quite fast over the black, so it's not a huge thick coat, and that black will push out through underneath the paint. I'm mumbling my words, excuse me. Oh, could you let me know if the sound quality is okay today? Yes, Gareth, I am absolutely over the moon. I mean, I was getting desperate. I was getting desperate to pay the vet fees, and I honestly had no other way of knowing how I could raise the funds in time. Because of course the vets aren't going to wait for you to pay. They want their money kind of now. So now the vet fees are actually getting covered, and we can find the rest of our money ourselves. So we are absolutely over the moon. There's nothing worse than having to sell your personal items to pay bills. And of course, I have said this a few times, and most of you know, I didn't get cat insurance for Molly. So what happened was we ended up paying the full costs of all the vet fees, which has come just over £3,000 now. It's absolutely disgusting, the actual cost, if you haven't got cat insurance. And of course the cat vet fees are just going to keep on going, but thank you so much everybody for helping. It's been just incredible. Molly thanks you all as well. Thank you for the cheer, Goblin Emperor. And I will be coming over. To see you and make muffins tomorrow, Dad. I've got my little battery, the bike battery, on charge at this very moment. So my bike will be all ready for our little trip over to see you tomorrow, and we can start making our muffins and get fat and full on gluten-free muffins. I'm also going to be telling my dad off tomorrow as well. Now, if you remember, most of my goblins who are watching the show, a few weeks ago, I helped my dad move a ton of coal to the back of his house, and me being the pussy I am, I ended up pulling my back out. Anyway, about 2 weeks later, of course, my dad ordered another ton of coal, and he did it all himself. So I felt terrible about that. And yesterday there was he's got in touch again, and he's moved another ton of something else. I think he's a woodland forest. He's moved a woodland forest from the front to the back of his house. The thing of it is, my dad, he is an absolute superstar. He is super strong. He was a labourer all his life, carpentry, etc. He is built like Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he is so much stronger than me, even in his 70s. But he also doesn't know when to slow down. So he needs to slow down and ask me for help now and again. Thank you, BNL Minis. That's very kind of you to say. Now, as you can see with this paint here, we are leaving the black. I am sorry if it looks too small. Can everybody see? Okay, I know it's absolutely tiny weeny kobolds. But what I'm doing, I'm using this black to my advantage. And we're just going around with the one colour, and then of course we'll lighten the tone up a bit. These are fantastic little miniatures. I have no idea how Bobby Jackson can, do such tiny little minis. I mean, I know the little hobbits are small, but kobolds are absolutely tiny. Like I said, this is your normal human-sized Reaper miniature. I mean, it comes up to his mid waistline. So I mean, we're talking these are tiny little miniatures. Now, I know in Dungeons and Dragons, a lot of people for some reason don't like kobolds. I absolutely love kobolds, and I think they are just perfect cannon fodder. When you go into some dungeons, having a nice little warm-up fight with some kobolds just sets the scene ready for like going into with some goblins, and then of course you can move on to some orcs. But the kobolds just really do set up the dungeon nicely. Hey, Rod's got good taste. Now, talking of people in chat, I want to say something about Rod at the moment, because Rod is roughly about he's actually a little bit older than me, and at the moment he's on my Discord channel. He's a goblin on my Discord channel, and he's building this wooden ship. Now everybody's in chat was saying, like BNL Minis was saying, they get inspiration from me for my painting. At the moment, you could not ask for a more inspirational person, and that is Rod, who is called, is it Fish and Chips? Is it? Yeah, Stays and Fish. I don't know if I said that, Rod, but he is doing this boat, and it's all made out of wood, and it's a kit boat. But honestly, if you want to get inspiration from people, then he's just blown me away, because I have my Reaper pirate ships to paint soon, of course. And what's happened now is this guy is this guy has raised the bar, you know, and I'm looking at his boat, and every time I see this boat he's doing, it's getting better and better. He's added a rigging now just to be a little smart ass, you know what I mean? But it's absolutely amazing, and this is what's beautiful about the community of miniature painters. Is 99% of all the miniature painters, we are all a fantastic community that we like to join in and help each other and give advice, and that's why all my best friends are through my goblins, are through my goblin army, because we all have the same love, and that is painting miniatures. But yeah, Rod, this boat is doing absolutely amazing stuff. He has raised that bar very, very high. I need to really, push out something special with these damn Reaper boats. Wow. Now, I was going to paint the Reaper boats on stream, but they are absolutely huge. So what I will do with the actual Reaper pirate ships is I will make up a YouTube video for the actual pirate ships. Oh yes, I will give a shout out to Nath. If it wasn't for Nath, and because I think it was Nath who directed Rod in the correct direction for the actual boat, Rod wouldn't have even started in the first place. So Nath is I don't know if Nath is still in chat, but Nath is like the grandpa Reaper. I'm gonna call Nath the grandpa Reaper collector, because he has been collecting Reaper miniatures even longer than I have. So I call him he's Grandpa Goblin. Nath is now Grandpa Goblin. Yeah. Oh, hello. Did I miss Michelle? Hopefully Michelle will see me say hello, Michelle. Sorry, Michelle, I didn't actually see you in chat. You must have just popped in from work. Grandpa Nath. Okay, we are speeding along, doing the skin. Now time is ticking on, but as you can see, the first coat is coming on nicely. Now I'm busy chatting away tonight and getting back into the stream. Like I say, my streams are only for an hour, so we'll see how far we can get with for the hour. But like I say, this is my first stream in a while, so it's just getting back into a rhythm. What you'll find as well is, because I'm painting on stream, I'm actually in a funny position what I'm used to. Normally I'll be painting up close and personal here, but because I'm on stream, I'm kind of got my arms forward, so it actually makes it even more difficult, because we are working on a angle that I'm not really used to, but I'm trying my best. Okay, now the black is working absolutely fantastic with this kobold. So what we can do now is I am going to start mixing this orange. This is the burnt orange, and we're going to start highlighting the skin. B&L Minis, I have got absolutely fantastic news for you. I have got the complete Brindwind pirate sets. I also have about 50 different pirates. which I do need to paint. So expect loads and loads and loads of pirate goodness in the coming weeks. I'm also going to be working on my pirate island that I'm making for the Reaper miniatures. So we got tons of goodness coming your way to do with pirates. I am very, very heavily into the pirates at the minute, because I do need to get 10. I have to paint 10 pirate ships, which is going to be crazy. Thank you for subscribing, Mokai. Okay, so what I'm going here is we're going to try a 75% mix with the orange, and we're going to see how that looks on our miniature. Now, all we do for this is we just go to the highest areas. So all we're doing is starting to lighten all the little areas on the chest, the arms. Let's quickly go over the little fingies, on the thigh there, and on the little toesies, and the toesies, and on the fingies. Just on the back here, and don't forget his little ears. So just the tips of his ears. Just move our way around. And my brush is starting to split, which means if your brush is starting to split like mine is doing there, that means your brush is overloaded. So all you need to do to get rid of that is give it a good wash. Dry it off in your tissue so it's nice and dry, so you've got your tip back. And the reason why your brushes are splitting when you're painting is because it's overloaded. So what you're trying to do here is less paint on the tip of the brush, and we're back to normal again. Okay, on top of the head there, a little bit just there, the thighs, top of the calf, back of the hands, and straight across, and again on the top of the ears. And we just repeat this process for the other little kobolds. So again, on the top of the forehead there, on the ear, top of the nose, cheeks, top of the chest. This one's got a little porky belly, so it's just going to take a little bit over there on his belly. And top of the hands, and his little tail there, so it's just the top of the tail. Again, as you all know, when I paint my miniatures, I always like to use the dark colours as a shade. I've actually missed a bit there, so we're going straight back into the red on that bit there, and we'll just finish off that hand, and we shall come back to that later. So once again, it's 75% mix of the orange mixed in with that kobold scale. Now that kobold scale is an absolutely beautiful colour, and this orange is working very nicely. It's a nice strong orange, and it's working well with the paints here today, which is awesome. Again, we're using, as I showed you before, because we're using that black, we've already got his eyes nice and dark, so we're just going to the forehead there, top of the nose, taking it down the side of his faces, of this side of his cheek, sorry. His chest muscle's just there. He's got another little porky belly as well, so we're just going to add a tiny bit to the top of his belly there, top of the ears, and just go along the little fingies and the thumb there. A little bit of light, and here, go down, hit the bottom of the toes. Now, kobolds have claws, so I'm just going up to the edge of the claws on this little kobold here. And we shall work our way around the back. Now we've got two backs to paint. So with the backs, we are going to the top of the shoulder, biceps there, the triceps, sorry, and just onto the top of the shoulder blades, just hitting a little bit of the lighter mix, and again the top of the tail. I'm keeping the bottom of the tail dark, so we have a variation of the shadow underneath going into the top of the tail. And like I say, we're doing this just by using that black, the first initial kobold scale, and now we're using a 75 mix with a 25% mix of the orange. So again, top of the head, a little bit there. On the scales. And around. And his little tail. Make sure you get the top of the tail. Just to make sure there's a little bit of light there. And little ears. Okay, moving on to the next one. Again, exactly the same mix for each one of these goblins. We'll go on to the final highlight in a second. We'll just finish off these quick goblins. Goblins? I'm calling them goblins now. Kobolds! Got goblins on the brain box. I think the most important thing on the show today is showing you the actual kobold skin anyway. The rest of the miniature is really a case of browns and you know, just doing your basic silver on your shields and things. But if I can show you a very simple way to do the kobold skin, with the way I'm painting this kobold skin today, it knocks out the need for an ink wash. If you read Rhonda Bender's guide, which I've already read, what she does, if you want to add an ink wash to these miniatures, she will add some water, a couple of drops of water to the black, and a couple of drops of water to the dark elf shadow, which I will probably do for the shield. And also she was using it for the skin as well. Now, if you paint your kobolds this way, you don't actually need to add or make up an ink wash at all, because we are utilizing the black undercoat to give us the shadow we need. We don't need to add the kobolds. We don't need to add that shadow with an ink wash. Kobolds. Okay, a bit more red. Good, we're coming on nicely with this. I was very, very nervous before the stream, coming to come on stream today. I don't know why I get so nervous before a stream. I've always been the same. When I was young, I used to do all the. Well, we all did. When you're a young man, you'd be in church. And you used to do all the plays, you know, the school Christmas activity plays. I would always get kicked out. I would always get kicked out of the school plays because I was just too nervous. I couldn't cope with people watching me, you know. So I am a bit of a weird boy when it comes to that. What's crazy though, in these school plays, you know, I'd be the donkey anyway. So nobody could see me in the donkey outfit, you know what I mean? I hope everybody can see what I've been doing tonight. They are very, very small. They are very, very small. I was a very, very small child, Dad. I was absolutely tiny. I'm surprised they didn't put me in the crib and call me Jesus. I was that small. He can play the baby. Okay, so we are moving on to the final highlight on the kobold skin, and all we're going to do now is we're going to move up to about a 50-50 mix of the orange and red for a final highlight. Okay, so the final highlight is 50% of the beautiful yellow, beautiful orange, sorry, and 50 of the Kobold scale. I'm just giving that a quick mix on my palette here. Oh my my dad's a nutter, you know that. Okay, so sorry guys, the final highlight is a tiny is it, oh dear, is a tiny little highlight just on the cheeks. So we're on the actual, now we're going to the knuckles. I am trying to talk without laughing now, my dad's set me off. And as you can see, we're going to the final height, so it's just a tiny little hit on where we've been going. So it's the final little highlight. It's absolutely beautiful, and it just sets off that skin gorgeously. Okay. Okay, as I hope you can all see the skin tones on that Kobold. Like I say, absolutely super simple, easy paint today, and this is just a fantastic way just to add some goodness to your Kobolds. And these are all using the paints included in the kit. Oh dear me, honestly you guys, my glasses are starting to steam up now. Okay, again going on to the nose. Like I say, it's the finishing highlight for the Kobold skin, so it's just a tiny little bit, again hitting that tail there. And on the knuckles, what we're doing, we're just hitting the actual knuckles like so, and here. Top of the fingers there. I think that's looking fab for the Kobold skin. What do you think so far for the skin, guys? I think they look absolutely fantastic. I mean, this is my way of painting. Everything's nice and dark and creepy, but you've got some nice skin tones going there. Very simple to do. Hopefully Rod's finishing his skin tones now. See. You know, my dad just said that I hit the wall across across the hospital. Now, what is the truth? I don't think I did shoot out and hit a wall, but I do know it was a fact that my head was shaped like a bullet when I was born. So, thank you, B&L Minis. So for some reason my head was shaped like a bullet, so I've been told many times, but that's quite common, I think, in babies to have a to look like a bullet. Okay, so we're just finishing these little highlights here, just going over the tail. These are going to look absolutely fantastic in the dungeons. Now, what I don't want to do is overdo the skin, because these miniatures are so small. I Sometimes you can overpaint, and I'm not trying to put anyone down who goes into very, very, very high detail. I'm just saying, if you are doing tabletop gaming like myself, and you are painting up all your miniatures for your dungeons, sometimes you can overpaint these small miniatures. So you're looking for a nice little colour that just kind of works with what you're painting, without going into hundreds of different colours on one miniature, because what we got here is a nice little combo of colours, and what will happen is they'll all blend in your dungeon, and you'll have your grouping for your squad, or whatever you want to call them, in your dungeons for your little kobolds. So I tried to keep the colour combos the same for each of my little goblins and kobolds and orcs. It just works a lot easier that way. Now, all I've done with these miniatures, by the way, is this is balsa wood. It's just balsa wood, and I just use some blue tack, and I just stick them on blue tack. It makes it a very fast way. It's easier for me to control my painting, especially if I'm doing batch painting. As you all know, I absolutely love doing batch painting. That's how I get all my armies done. And I'll normally have 4 or 5. Today we've got 6 miniatures because they're smaller, but I'd normally have 4 or 5 on one of these, and I'd do them in batches of 20 to 30 miniatures at a time. So we're just finishing off these quick highlights on the actual skin of our kobolds. Very, very simple. That's very, very nice. Okay, I'm going to leave the kobolds like that for now for the skin. I think they are working very, very nicely. Oh my god, who's calling me? That's Scorpla. See, that's my beloved there. That's my beloved. She's calling me a bowling ball. You look like a bowling ball. Okay, let's move on. We've still got a bit of time left. We got some olive skin. Now the olive skin we'll use for all the brown areas. So we'll get the brown done in first. Yes, when we take Bonnie for a walk after the show tonight, Claire might get lost in the woods. Okay, so we're going to paint all the brown areas on our little kobolds now. Again, we're using the same paintbrush. We're using the paints only from the kit. And now what I'm doing is I am not going completely up to the actual end of the bow here. So what's happening is I'm leaving a nice black line at the bottom, as you see where it hits the hand there. So what's happening is we are just painting the actual wood area, but we're leaving a little bit of black going around where it joins the hand. This gives us an instant shadow without needing to paint a shadow on to the bow. So we're utilizing that black undercoat once again. Let's go to here. All we're doing is a tiny little bit of black just going around the hand, and it gives an instant shadow to this bow here, just a little bit here. And that works fab for his little bow. Okay, now we've got the shield here. Now if I go over very lightly with my brush and start taking off, I can almost use this like a little dry brush. So what I'm using here is my tissue. I'm taking off some of the brown from my brush, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the side of this brush. I'm just going to take some more paint off. I'm just going to go across and use it a little bit like a dry brush and just hit the wood very gently. Now I'm not putting much pressure because I don't want to ruin this brush. So what we're doing is just going over very, very gently, and I'm using this number 1 brush like a dry brush, and we're just letting that black pop through, which gives us a wood grain effect to the shield. There we are, beautiful. Very, very simple. And of course we're leaving that black there for a shadow. Now we'll do at the top a little bit here. Just I'm taking the paint off again, just on the top. A little bit of a flick on the top there, and we're done. Okay, we've got a spear here, so we're going back into the brown, and we'll just work our way around. Again, I'm leaving about half a millimeter of black before I hit the hand, so we're leaving a black shadow from the actual miniature. Little black shadow and down, and we'll just quickly go in here. Quite difficult. There we are. Just like so. And again, we've got another shield here, and spear, sorry. So we just go up here, take that down there. We're not going to the hand, we're just leaving that little black. So we're just giving a hint of brown towards the hand, and again the black is working as our shadow for the spear hilt. There we are. Okay, so we've got the crossbow now. So we'll just quickly go across the crossbow. Again, we are leaving a little bit of black, just working around. I can see I've missed his hand there, so we can go back over his hand. Again, we're using that black underneath to emphasize the shadows of the bow. Like I say, these are very, very tiny miniatures, so it's probably quite difficult for you all to see exactly what I'm getting up to today. Hopefully you've got the gist of what's going on. It's just very nice chatting away to everybody anyway, so it's absolutely awesome to see everybody supporting the channel, so thank you so much for that. Good. Okay, so that's roughly all the little wood bits we want on. So we can actually move on. We are actually starting to fly through these minis now, and that's good. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is we're going to go into the Highland Moss green. This is a nice green. This is nice. Now, as most of you know, green is the Goblin King's favourite colour. Hello, Waffle Witch. Lovely to see you. Yes, I do like to utilise dark colours on my miniatures. Of course, you can't use dark colours on all your miniatures, but especially when you're doing dungeon miniatures, you can start with, you know, a nice dark brown primer coat or a nice black. Now, Reaper miniatures, with these miniatures, you do not need to add a primer coat, but my own personal preference is add an undercoat to all your miniatures. It doesn't matter if they're metal, it doesn't matter if they're plastic, and it doesn't matter what miniature you are painting. What I find is if you add an undercoat, doesn't matter what color it is, it doesn't matter if it's a primer made for undercoating or it's just an acrylic, giving your miniatures that one coat of primer gives you a base to work from. Not only that, if you have any residue on your miniatures, it means that you'll get the pooling of paint when you do your primer coat. So it means you can actually get rid of that pooling before you add your main colours. So for me, it's super important to add a primer to your miniatures first. You won't see me painting many miniatures where I haven't done a full paint over of a primer colour. Okay, now with these little tunics, I am just going in lines straight down. Tunic, just adding that green. Again, we're using the black to utilise a colour. So the black is our shade, and all I'm doing is using this lovely green, and it is a beautiful green. I like this very much. And what we do is just go in nice straight lines down the tunics, and that black is working perfectly for our little colour, and we get a nice little shade going there. And the same, so what we're doing, we're picking out the highest ruffles, and we're just adding that lovely green, and we can quickly go around. Highest ruffles, highest ruffle. And we're done. And the same here. Just a straight line down, and a little one just there, little ruffle. Because these miniatures are so tiny, again, you don't want to go overboard. What I'm doing from this distance, they look fabulous. They look awesome. You don't need to go super high detail, especially on something this size. Stick with what you can cope with as well in painting. But I am very, very happy how these are looking. Especially we've not used any ink washes, and we're just doing the paints that came with the actual set, and we're using the one brush that came with the set as well. So a little bit of green here, and a little bit of green there. It's just adding a line. We're just hitting the highest areas with the green. A little bit just there. Okay, so that's the green added. We can go one step further. We can, once that's dry, we can add a tiny bit more. We can add some creamy ivory to that green, and we can just highlight that area a little bit more. Hello Ty, how are you? Okay, let's have a look where we are. Okay, so we got the tunics in. I'll tell you what we'll do is let's go and get some of the creamy ivory, and we'll do the little horns. I'll show you how I'm going to do the horns. Now the horns are absolutely tiny, but I think we can do a little wet blend on each one of those little horns. The horns are going to be burnt orange. So we'll start off with this one here. It could be quite tricky to see. We've got the burnt orange and creamy ivory. Now what I'm going to do is very simply just load up my brush directly with burnt orange, and then we're going to hit the little horns with the burnt orange like so. And before that paint dries, we're going to go straight into the ivory, and we're just going to hit the ends and pull the ivory up to the tips of the horns. This will give us a little light effect to the horns. I don't know if you can see that very well. Absolutely tiny. Okay, I'll show you again on this one. We're just going straight into the orange first, burnt orange, and we paint the 3 little horns on his head. So 1, 2, 3. We go directly into the creamy ivory, and we're just hitting the tips of the horns, just adding a little bit of that white that goes and blends in nicely with the orange. We're pulling it away from the tip of the horn, and we're done. Just gives us a little two-tone effect on the horns. It is very, very small. I apologize. Grey Mouser, yeah, they are tiny, aren't they? I am honestly struggling to keep it in shot because they're so small. So I apologize if you're all there trying to see, going, what's he doing? Again, look, this is 4 scale. This is a normal human-sized character compared to the size of these little things. Okay, let's move on to the next horn. Again, we're going back into the burnt orange, and what we're doing, we're just hitting the first 3 horns on his head. So 1, 2, 3. We're going back into the creamy ivory, and we're just hitting the ends of the horns, and this is just giving us a nice little variation in the colour, going from dark orange to light. It just makes a lovely little effect for the horns. We might as well finish these horns while we're here. Okay, once again, we're just doing the horns. 1, 2, 3, back into the ivory, and we're just hitting the tops. Now we're doing this while the paint is wet. This blends in that white beautifully with the orange, and it looks fab. Okay, moving back to the orange again. 1, and back into the white ivory. I'm just hitting the tops. Beautiful. Okay, let me just wash my brush because the paint's starting to build up. I'm going to do the last one. Thank you so much, B&L Minis. You take care of yourself. I hopefully will see you next week. Well, I'll be wrapping up the show in 4 minutes anyway, so we're quite close to my finishing time. Okay, so there we are. That's all the skin tones done. That's all the horns done. We've got the little loincloths done. We've got the wood areas done. All we need to do now really is add that silver. So let's add that silver. And we shall call it a night. So the last little area, we got some honed steel. we've just got a little bit of that steel. Remember, when you use any metallic type paints, always use a different I use two different types of water. One is for metallic, and one of course is what I'm using today, which is my dirty water now. Now I always use different water for using my metallics, because you'll get speckles of metallic paint on your acrylic paint, and you don't want that, because you'll end up with a glowy, sparkly little fairy kobolds. So what we do is you wash your brush in separate pots, and that'll stop all the pigments sticking to your miniature. Okay, again we are using the same brush that came with the kit, and I am going to do that little kind of dry brush thing again. I'm just taking a little bit off, and I'm going to very carefully go over all the metal areas very lightly. I'm keeping the bottom of the spears black, so we've got a shade underneath the spear. With this shield here, what we'll do is we'll just go across very lightly. And what's happening is we're getting a nice build-up of silver in the middle, and then what happens is the silver is then going around the rim of the shield, and that's giving us a nice shadow going around the actual shield there. What we can do as well is in the very center of the shield, we can just add a full-on little dab of silver. Nice little circle there in the middle. Let that dry. Just like so. Okay, moving on. Again, taking the silver, and again we'll just go over the areas here. So I'm just doing a very light coating of the silver on these miniatures. It's not even a I've not even got the brush loaded. It's just like a dry brush. So we're just giving a hint of silver to the tips of the spears, and the rest. Same with the club. We've got the paint. I've loaded the paint up on my brush there. I'm taking a lot of that paint off. Now I'd normally use a dry brush, but I'm trying to show you that you can do what I'm doing with the brush. You can do it with one brush that came with the set from Reaper, and again we just slowly go over very gently without breaking our brush, nice and gentle. We're just using our brush as a mini dry brush, and we're just adding a little bit of silver to that club. Just gives a nice little shine, and the top of the club there we can add a little bit more. This will be our reflection, so just on the top we're going straight into the steel, and we've got a nice little reflection on the top of that club. Okay, what else have we got? There's a little bit of steel on the front there, of the crossbow. There we go. And that's about all we can do for tonight. All I need to do to finish these off is belt buckles. There you go. Let me just do a couple of belt buckles, and then I shall say goodnight to you all. So we've got little belt buckles. Very simple. We'll just go around, bing, bing, and we're done. And we've got a little skull on this one, a little skull. So we just put a little silver skull, teeny, tiny, weeny, tiny skull. There we are. So there we are. This is my Kobolds. This is a 50-minute paint of your Kobolds from the Reaper Miniatures quick paint kit, and these are all the paints from the set. There's no other paints or paintbrushes used, so I think they look fab, and I can highly recommend to get this little set if you want to have some kobolds for your dungeons. Now, I shall be back next Thursday. I do apologise, but I do have to cut back on my streams for the time being. Life does get in the way now and again. So I shall be streaming every Thursday from 7 o'clock UK time. So hopefully I'll see you all next Thursday. Thank you everybody so much for popping in. Loads of love to every single one of you, and I shall see you on Discord. Have a beautiful weekend and take care, everybody.